Hi, I'm Dino. Tonight on the podcast, he does not know this, but for years I've called him the Quiet Man. Tonight, Sumukh Torgalkar, comedian, and dare I say, philosopher on whiskey business. So welcome to Whiskey Business, the podcast not so much about whiskey as it is one with whiskey. Happy holidays, gentlemen.
Yeah, happy holidays.
We haven't been together since the Milestone Birthday podcast.
Yes.
Right.
And
that was a great one.
That was a good
That was
podcast.
It was fun.
Yeah.
And then since then, John Whitney actually celebrated his 60th birthday.
Yes.
I want to apologize to the workers at Studio 35
Well, you
for
should.
drinking too much and falling down in front of the popcorn machine.
They're used to it.
Yeah. You were doing so well.
But I didn't. When I stood up, I was like, "Oh."
Well, maybe, and those of you who are just listening and not watching, maybe it was the repeated shaky of the glass to your wife.
I did.
You would just shake the glass.
Oh, what
and
a
she'd
good
go up
girl
there
she
and
was.
just kept getting me the.
Yeah. Well, it was your 60th birthday.
And you were
man.
doing
What you thinking, you know?
doubles, I think.
I did 2 doubles. The rest were singles. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
bet they have a lot of. It's a movie theater bar. I bet they go into the late night movies and people are passed out in the chairs all the time.
Maybe.
I bet that's
Maybe.
the thing.
They have a pretty decent collection of whiskey and
no, they have an actual
they do.
impressive selection
it's nice.
for a movie theater, but it's a great bar. You had a great
Yeah.
time.
Johnny and I had that
Willet.
Willet. We had this Willet there once, and I
yeah.
loved it. I
Yeah,
fell in
it's
love with
good.
it.
Yeah.
There are a lot of movie centric friends of his
Yeah.
there, so there was a lot of movie talk.
People have been on the podcast. Rafael Rosado.
Yeah.
Bill
Farmer. Bill
Yeah.
Farmer.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
People
was
I work
great.
with. People I used to work with. It was a good time.
It was. It was a very nice little gathering. It
was really cool.
I'm glad I made it. Chip was there.
Yeah, we got to wax-
Somebody was absent.
Yeah, no, that was me.
Yeah.
I was doing Mr. Mom stuff.
know you
my
were.
my wife was out of town for a work trip, and normally that would be like awesome. They're like, wife's gone.
Yeah,
But-
my wife is gone right now.
But
That's
like,
so funny.
It sucks because I've got like kids, and I had to take them to school and make lunch. Like, you know,
You had to be a dad.
I actually had to do my
had to
job
be a job.
for
Welcome
like
to the
4 days.
club.
It sucked.
Yeah,
To
it
raise
is a
your
job.
children.
Yeah. It's a tough
Making
job.
lunch
isn't it?
and
Your
breakfast.
children.
Oh, I bet you're gonna want dinner too.
You want to eat 3 times a day?
That's
Yeah.
great.
And I thought about sneaking out. I was like, oh, maybe I'll just pop over for one. I was like, nah.
No, that
would
is the
that would
beginning.
be-
That is a
You
recipe for disaster.
could have taken them to the theater and dumped them in the theater for
That's
a
right.
movie.
It's true. They could have watched
Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah. And you could have sat there and drank with
missed
us.
opportunity.
Oh, man, you got to
Just
think out of the
weren't
box.
thinking.
Kids, you like Wicked?
Think, Hansberry. Think.
They would
Man,
love
it's a long movie too. You could
Yeah.
have been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
For like 2.5 or 3 hours.
So,
Yeah.
anyway.
It's a work
You'd have
meeting,
to have
kids.
somebody drive you guys home, though.
Yeah.
We already poured out because Sumukh does not drink, which is not a prerequisite here on Whiskey Business. But you guys have been asking me what this is because it was in a unidentified bottle, unmarked bottle. This is one of
ghost
the
bottle.
remnants from my Florida trip. As you know, when I go to Florida, it's Bourbon Palooza with my brother-in-law.
Oh, yeah.
And what we're drinking here is something from what was left. It was one of the last pours of the trip. This is a bottle called Second Amendment. Anybody know what the Second Amendment is?
Freedom of speech.
Wrong.
Guns.
Guns.
God, thank you.
Damn it.
That's right. The right to own and bear
And
arms.
bear
Don't you
arms.
watch political ads, man?
I do. But they always glean over the
talk
part
about
about it being a
And this
well-organized,
actually comes
controlled
from a company
militia.
called Constitutional Spirits
Oh.
in
I get
Kentucky.
it.
And the Second Amendment, this is, I believe, 70% corn, high rye content, 21% rye, which is what and it started to make me a little reminiscent
Of Incan cigarettes.
of what we're doing. Yeah. And
Yes.
9% barley.
It's not too funky, though.
Yeah. So we've got one more. We got wheat in ours. So
It's a familiar taste.
Yes, but
Yeah.
the smell is not that of Asiago cheese.
No.
The smell is
hopefully
very
that'll go
distinct
away.
caramels.
it's not.
It's good.
We
It's real
got
good.
one
Yeah.
stinky whiskey on our hands in 2 years. But yeah, man, this is just I don't know if Sumukh might be the only podcast we get in. I don't know if we're going to do a Christmas one this year.
We're running out of time.
We're out of time.
Yeah, that's true.
Only 2 weeks left.
Yeah, so we'd have to do it next week.
The holiday spirits of a Christmas time.
And you can't do it next Wednesday because I got the Italian Club Christmas party.
We'll just do it there. We'll just bring the mics, pass the bottle of wine around.
Want to spend like an hour doing a podcast from your Italian club?
I think it's off limits to bring any recording devices.
Yeah, I
in.
think that's probably true.
One of those things, Dino.
So Sumukh might be our Christmas present.
All right.
So, without further ado, let's get him in here, shall we?
right.
Chip,
Come on,
Chip will
Thanks,
move.
Chippy. Let me do
And-
the business. Is that all right?
do the business.
You want me to do the business?
Go ahead, do it.
you do.
You can do it.
Whiskey business.
Whiskey business.
Whiskey business. I said like I said earlier, for those of you who are listening, thank you. You can also watch us on YouTube, Whiskey Business with Dino Tripodis.
Yeah.
You can go to our website.
Oh, wait, you have to smash that subscribe button.
I know what I'm saying, if you're a first-time listener or a first-time viewer, smash that
That's right.
subscribe.
That's right.
And ding the bell.
Yep. Ding the bell.
Ding, 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 ding.
Our website is whiskeybusinesspod.com.
Yeah.
Pod.com?
Yeah.
Whiskeybusinesspod.com. Or else we have Instagram as well. Is the Instagram up and running?
Yeah. And
Is it?
Facebook.
Did you fix it?
Yeah.
Did you?
No.
Because I've not contributed to the whiskey business.
Huh.
I can't seem to get to it yet still.
There's a Facebook page.
There's a Facebook page.
I've updated the Facebook page every once in a
all
while.
right,
I'll
fair
post some videos there.
So
Dino.
as we close out 2024, our social media skills still suck. So you can find us one way or the other. Is that
Who would've
pretty much
thought
everything?
in 2024,
Right.
like
Yeah.
computers and social
And
media
our
would have been
big
a
thank
thing.
you to Evergreen Podcast Network for being our podcast family
Keep growing
Yes.
and
growing
distributing.
and
They keep
growing.
growing and growing, and we hope to continue to grow with them.
Yeah.
So is that pretty good?
Yeah.
Not bad.
Just as good as I would
Talk
have
about
done.
the YouTube channel?
Yeah.
Okay, we did. Okay, good.
Yeah, we did that.
We did the smash and the
All right,
And
That's
I
right.
said the guy whose name I've mispronounced and 1,000 times on stage is Sumukh Torgalkar. Am I saying it right tonight?
It's well enough.
Well
you know?
enough. Is it? Welcome.
great name.
Welcome. How is it properly pronounced?
So the proper is Sumukh Torgalkar. So
Sumukh.
in Columbus, you're fine, Dino. Okay,
In
you're
Columbus.
grandfathered in.
Thank you very much.
They would say Sumukh, and it just stuck. And you called me the quiet man, which I was not aware of.
I've been calling you
I
a
was-
quiet man quietly to myself this year, and I'll
Yeah.
explain that. But go ahead.
Sure, I was very shy when I started. Well, yeah, I was shy as a child, and I started doing stand up pretty shy. So I didn't ever really correct people on the name, and it stuck, and it was okay. and then I had my first album, and I called it the mispronunciation of Sumukh Torgalkar.
That's a
And
great
that was
idea.
kind of the way to go. All right. And then I moved to LA, and it was like, well, I'll tell everybody the proper way going forward. But everyone in Columbus still says Sumukh.
They
It's
never listened to
okay.
the album.
No, I guess not. They were like, we're sick of this material anyway.
No, I always called you this is something that I said, the quiet man, because your demeanor is very quiet.
It is.
Yeah.
And your presence on stage is also relatively quiet. And I'm a fan of you on Instagram.
Thanks.
And your videos on Instagram, your messages are like quiet, but yet so profound, and so they have a beginning, a middle, and a profound end. They're very, very clever, and they're very, very smart. And I don't know if it's because you say it so quietly, but like the last one, the most recent one that I watched, you actually addressed the shooting of the CEO in New York, and it was fucking brilliant.
With Luigi Manicotti, or whatever his name is.
Yes. At the time, we didn't know his name. I don't know which. I've done two.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's a hot topic. Yeah. The second one was mostly about that the only reason we know his face is because he was flirting with a woman.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's exactly what I would have done too. And I'm like, a woman at a New York City hostel, cute, goofy, progressive. I'm like, that is my entire dating history. So I totally would have just been like, sure, I'm
Why
about
not?
to murder someone, but I got to see if this smile still works on me, you know,
Right, yeah.
before I get out there. So that That's what's been going on in my mind related to that.
Oh man.
To that major news story. But it's captivating, and those are the things I try to grab at, where it's still my sense of humor approaching these pretty big topics.
It's not
going
political.
on.
It's not charged.
No,
Yeah.
Nothing against that, but yeah,
Right,
throughout
right.
my humor's like, people will ask me, like, again, is your humor political? And I go, no, but I think I'm a brown man on stage. It's always gonna be political, whether I want it to be or not.
Right.
And I started in Columbus. I definitely did some towns where, okay, it's just me and who owns the gas station or the hotel here. You know what I mean? And like, I could play off that, but that was the reality. So,
Oh my God, that's so funny because
It's true.
True.
Funny 'cause
it's
true.
Yeah, because the BP on the corner here
yeah.
owned by an Indian,
Yep.
and the last motel I was at actually was a motel I was inquiring about to possibly shoot something, owned by an Indian.
Yes.
So and we were talking about the holidays, right before you sat down. Are you home for the holidays then? Is it?
I am. So I came in around Thanksgiving, stayed a few more weeks, and then I still work for a company in Columbus, which is wonderful because it keeps my ties to Columbus still here. And I can come back and
From where? Did we say Vegas or Los Angeles?
No,
I was
or
in
Cleveland?
LA for 4 years. I'm now in Colorado.
He's in Colorado, which I
very
want to talk about again. That's a different chapter of tonight's little.
You're
little-
full
little-
remote from a Columbus company. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
actually kind of cool.
Yeah.
He's done an amazing weaving of life, which I'm very intrigued
Thanks.
by, and want to know how the fuck you did it. But
You got to be
be
the quiet
desirable
man.
because-
Gotta be the quiet
Slowly
man.
but surely.
so
when
I'm
people-
curious about the. I know in India, they don't have a Christmas tree. They have they decorate. Correct me if I'm wrong. Banana and mango trees is what I read.
Okay, this is so off, Dino. Okay, so
Is
let's
it?
go back a little bit. So first of all, your Christmas present for all your listeners is a Hindu. So that's what you got.
Okay, cool.
But India, generally speaking, okay, the prominent religion is Hinduism.
Right.
But there's still Christians there, Muslims. So
Because
when we're
Christmas is
talking
celebrated
about,
all over the world.
sure, yeah,
In
But
various different ways.
In the case of
Santa,
Hinduism,
yeah, he's everywhere.
our major holiday is Diwali, which already happened in
Already
early
happened.
November, usually late October, early November. I have no idea what Christians in India do if they're putting it on mango trees.
That's what I
very
heard. That's
possible.
That's what I read.
But
That they decorate banana and mango
It makes
trees,
sense.
and there is an exchanging
Evergreens
of
are probably
gifts,
hard to
Yeah.
grow.
and there
over
are
there.
gatherings.
yeah, but I'm not in tune with that well enough. So I'll trust what you're saying.
Okay.
My father grew up in a very small town that was like a mango farming town. So I love mangoes, but I don't decorate.
You don't decorate a
my
mango tree
mangoes. Yeah.
or a banana tree.
No, not. But if that's what's going on,
I'm thinking of those Corona commercials where they put the Christmas lights in the
Palm tree.
The palm tree there. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
No.
No.
So what did you do for Diwali?
Well,
what does that celebration consist of?
well,
What is
it's
that?
a few days, and so again, generally speaking, there are each day representative of some god or an event. So there's what we call a puja associated with it. At this point, I pull up YouTube and I have the songs going because by no means, like, I grew up in a devout household, but it's not like my parents passed along these things in a devout way. So at this point, I'm kind of respectful of the faith, wanting to keep that as a part of my life from a culture standpoint, being in this country. But, I've got my own opinions when it comes to faith and religion, and I think it's just about being a good person. And beyond that, I don't invest too deeply in it, if that makes sense.
No, that makes completely, perfectly good sense.
How old of a guy are you there?
I just turned 40.
Yeah, see, I'm 40, and I feel I'm the same way with Catholicism. Like, I'm just like, you know,
Just be good.
Yeah.
gay marriage is all right. Just be good.
No, I think by the time you reach 40 years of age,
You have your
you've got your own opinions
Yeah.
and convictions, and in respects to religion, I too am not a overly religious person, baptized Greek Orthodox, and I've said this before. Down in the bottom of the steps, my mother insisted, and out of respect for my mother, that I have certain icons down there, and you know that she wanted some religion in the house, and yes, over the course of the years, I've gone down there in moments of contemplation and had my conversations, if you will.
So
It's
was
good.
your mother a Greek immigrant?
Not
was
an
it
immigrant.
previous?
No.
Okay.
No. Her mother,
Okay.
her father was. Yeah, and and no, my mother was born in Steubenville, Ohio, and you were born
In Cleveland.
in Cleveland,
Yeah.
Ohio.
It'd be funny if I was like in Steubenville.
In Steubenville.
No, yeah.
Apologize then.
So that plays a role in it too, because my parents immigrated, and when you grow up first generation, even to what you just asked me about, all of a sudden you kind of become representative, especially where I was living, where you stand out, or getting on stages in small towns, where you're
As
that
a millennial
representative.
growing up in 2001.
Yeah. You're representative of all of a sudden an entire country, an entire religion, sometimes other countries, other religions, right? So,
Right.
to some extent, growing up with it, I then had my own, like, hey, what do I look at myself as being in Hinduism? But then also just having that knowledge to be able to represent it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned earlier, I was shy as a child, shy as a comedian. So how does this shy young man decide that he wants to do stand-up comedy? What was the impetus? What was the motivation? What was the desire to get up on stage and do stand-up?
So I always loved comedy, and I still, in college, was writing comedy, but kind of for the newspaper. I went to Miami of Ohio, so in the Miami Student, the newspaper, the columns. So I wrote like Dave Barry type columns, just comedy columns, and I always loved stand-up. But yes, that kind of progression into actually getting on a stage. I still did some playwriting in college too. So then my playwriting professor was, well, you should get on stage, act a bit too. So I at least had that ability to get on a stage and know what I'm doing. And then, yeah, it was just that interest to give it a shot. Still had the sense of like, okay, just check out some open mics here in Columbus. Because I'd moved to Columbus right after graduating. And the sense to just, again, I was analytical even before starting stand-up, to just go, you need to write out 5 minutes before you get up there and have it figured out and then get up there. And that's where it started. But I was trying to think about when we first met, which was probably me doing a guest set at the Funny Bone.
At the Funny Bone.
And so it's wildly different than what I am now. And that time was very Mitch Hedberg influenced kind of feel, because Mitch Hedberg had stage fright too. And I think I bonded with that kind of, hey, here's a guy that can pull off being a little disconnected from the audience yet completely engaging them. And it was easy as being really shy to just do one-liners and get that energy going and keep it going. So it took some time before that developed into, hey, starting to tell some longer, more story-form jokes, which at this point I don't even tell one-liners up there unless it's a little punch before getting into
Right.
another.
You have to be a
joke.
better writer, I think, if you have that delivery, because you can't just you can't bullshit your way through it. You gotta get it.
Well, I'm going to take that as a compliment, because my setups are the longest fucking setups in comedic history. But you're right. There is a skill set to being able to tell.
What's the older guy? Who? Oh God, what's his name? Not Richard Lewis. Oh shit, he was bald and had the curly hair, and I think he just passed.
Bald curly hair.
Comedian.
Kinnison?
No.
Just passed.
Just passed about 40 years ago.
I'm sorry, I interrupted. Finish your thought. I'll edit that out.
So are you?
Sorry.
I think I know the answer to this question, but I'm asking it anyway. Are you pleased with where you started and where you're at, and are you content, or is there still something more, another step you still want to take?
I'm amazingly content.
Amazingly content.
And I look at it in a different way of we'll see where things progress, and I'm comfortable with wherever it goes.
Because you decided to move to Los Angeles. Now, why did you move to Los Angeles? To further your career?
Yes. At that time, that was the perspective.
And that was to further your career as a comedian or as a writer or both, or the whole package? Because you said you were a playwright in college. You wrote columns in college. Obviously, you have the gift to put words on paper and create something other than a stand-up routine. Yeah. So you come to LA with many, many talents.
Yes. It was both. And it also was that feeling of I've done what I can do here in Columbus, and I'm always a person that wants to challenge myself. So it was the challenge to go out there. Now, everybody, like, I still look at it really as a success, those 4 years, because, man, I was just on shows where, like, everybody's funny. I'm hanging with all of them. The crowd's laughing. You do a show and Chris Rock pops in, like that. Like those types of things that are extremely unique to that experience and was really what I wanted. Like you just want to be, when you love it, you want to be a part of being in the mecca of it. Right. And I was. So it was great. And to me, I made connections for progress in it. And when I left, the goal wasn't, hey, I'm leaving forever. At the time, I thought, well, I can still come back quarterly, still run the show I had been running, keep that brand going.
Go back. The show you were running. What was the show you were running?
It was called Laughter House 5. It was at a bookstore in the neighborhood where I lived. Just an alt show, and did well. Great comics on it for 2 years. And then the store closed. I still was planning to continue the show. I chose to move to Colorado, which was relationship oriented. We can get into that.
Oh,
too.
we're coming into that. Trust me. There's I've got
and
that saved for later.
2 months later, the pandemic hits.
The pandemic hit,
Yeah.
right?
So
I remember watching one of your Instagram videos where you actually went back to LA and visited some old haunts that were no longer the same old haunts.
correct.
And I would assume the place where you had the show was one of them.
Yes.
Right. And there are other places that had changed as well.
Yes.
In the relatively
The best of which was the Starbucks became a Cava.
right.
Just so LA.
Right. So, leaving LA, I know why I left LA. I went to LA in 91, 92-ish. Experienced a lot of the same things, the desire to, further things along and be in that mecca. And it was. I have the pleasure of actually, granted he was in a wheelchair when he came in, but remembering Richard Pryor coming into the Comedy Store, and still being funny at that particular time from his chair, and moments like that that are indelible in my brain that you're never ever gonna forget. But I left to take the radio job. Why did you leave Los Angeles? Did you reach a point of frustration, or was it a different choice in life?
It was a life choice.
A life choice.
So I was in a relationship for a long time with someone who lived in Columbus, too. We lived together in Columbus. I moved to LA. She chose to move to Fort Collins in Colorado. So we were doing long distance the entire time I was in LA. And so I'd been there for 4 years, been doing long distance, kind of at times visiting Colorado a good amount because of this. She never wanted to live in LA. I respected that. We still were respecting each other's goals, dreams, the things you do.
What did she do, if you don't mind me asking?
She was she is a licensed massage therapist and also in occupational therapy. So when she was out there, she was like an occupational therapy assistant.
Can I pause for 1 second? When if you're in a relationship with a massage therapist, is the last thing you're ever going to get from her is a massage because she does it all day long?
So no, but it can be
Seinfeld.
it's not just it's not like
It's not like I'm dating a massage therapist. I'm getting the best rub down
let's go.
every night. No, it's like that's what she does all day long, and you probably never got
ices
one.
her hands when she gets home.
Well, she said this, and I'll say it's accurate. There's a lot of things. I don't talk to her anymore, but what? But what
Spoiler
she did say that
alert!
was
Spoiler
accurate
alert!
is, everyone thinks it's funny to be with a comedian, but
Right.
you're dealing with all the dark stuff.
Sure, it's true. It's
accurate.
not. It's
Yeah.
not. It's not a laugh a minute when you were the comedian.
Right.
It is not.
So very similarly, I would never push on her like the Seinfeld thing of just shoving her arms under my neck is not going to happen. Her shoulders. But yeah, over time it would be like a nice thing. I'm a runner, so after a long race, she might be like, "Okay, we'll do it. I have my massage table at home, whatever."
but you'd have to run a marathon in order to
yes,
get it.
yeah. Really.
You have to earn
It's
it.
not some
You have
regular.
to-
I'm not a regular client or something at home. No.
Okay,
So.
so she was a massage therapist and an occupational therapist. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, so she that's what she did.
Yeah.
and was content doing that, but did not want to do it in Los Angeles.
Correct.
Yeah.
And she and you met her in Columbus.
Yes.
and she moved to Fort
Collins.
Collins.
Yes.
You can do that job anywhere.
Yeah, but again, it was interestingly just it's hard to explain. Again, we go back to the goofy, cute, progressive type thing.
Right.
So you go to that kind of mindset of going, well, if we're open-minded enough, we can make this work. You want to live there. I want to live here. Like, we're trying to support each other's dreams.
Nice.
Yeah, and then it became a nightmare.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, it happens, right? And it's fine. But that was the crux of it to begin with. And that's
So did
fine.
you move to Colorado for the relationship?
Yeah, ultimately. So after 4 years in LA, just juggling that, kind of coming to a reality of, so I have a job, as I mentioned, in Columbus that pays the bills, allowed me to get this home in Colorado, all those things. Comedy is still earning me income, for sure. But I got to a point in LA where I go, what am I working towards? Because even if I get a writer's job on a show, I'm going into an office. And I'm going into an office where I might not even like half these people. I know comedians and writers, right? So what am I working towards was my real question in being out there. And so that thing was, I was like, I already have an office experience, but I'm doing it working from home. I'm appreciated. I'm in another career that I've done well at. I can say it's great that my trajectory in that career and in comedy have always just been going up, and I've been happy with it. So that's what it came to. And then it was about, look, you've been with someone for a while, and this is a tough life. And myself, I'm like, okay, I will settle down rather than this long distance thing or whatever's going on here. So that was the onus behind it. Like, let's be back together and settle down and have more of a conventional kind of life in Colorado. Great place, still close enough.
A lot
to
of
Fort
Colorado,
Collins,
a great
Denver.
comedy state, if
Yeah.
you will. There's amazing clubs in Colorado.
Yeah. So it wasn't a negative all around, and it's still not to me being out there.
So because you stayed,
Yes,
that is home now.
it is.
Yeah, I have one question. You travel a lot for comedy? Are you a road guy?
I was at this point. Again, post pandemic, things shifted, and I started. I already was doing things on YouTube, and then it monetized through the pandemic.
Oh, nice.
And with where I was living, it just became, it's much easier to just make videos and be funny than doing the road.
Gotcha.
And
Okay, so to be able to monetize on YouTube, there had to be a relatively strong amount of followers and viewers to do
yes,
so.
yeah, it built.
That's impressive.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's very impressive as well.
So, yeah, it just kind of developed from there. I just started making how-to videos as I was working on stuff. I mean, I
Like
fixed stuff.
funny how to, or not
Yeah.
necessarily? Gotcha.
Yeah. The initial video was me being funny but screwing up the how-to video because I was doing pure comedy.
Sure.
And then that video I eventually made private because people were just angry. It
Right.
like, they're like, who is this guy and why is he not resolving my issue? So then
45 minutes
Started-
in, I still
Yeah.
don't know what I'm
Still
doing.
don't know how to change this damn light bulb.
yeah. So I started just making them funny while helping them. And then that's why, again, with
a good
YouTube and the
niche.
algorithm,
Yeah.
there's now a few where I'm like the number one. I'm the number one storm door closer jam
That's funny.
video.
No
way. If you want to put on a front license plate, I'm also at the top.
We're at the top.
And LG TV troubleshooting. Yeah. So it's weird.
It is
That is-
funny. I'll Google something. And
I'm
I'm
gonna
like,
do
what the
that.
fuck?
Crazy.
I
Yeah.
need help.
And
It's a good niche.
Yeah.
uh,
So it's weird how it worked out, but
and this happened. This was during the pandemic that you
Yeah,
because
it
a lot of
just-
comics went any way they could
Correct.
to try to sustain their lives
yeah.
and make money.
Yeah, in my case, okay, I still have my job,
Yeah.
but the creativity doesn't go away.
No.
So this was that outlet for me. Other people did other things, TikTok and everything, of course. But for me, and what gives me joy about it is when I look at it, it's the crux of what I wanted to be doing with comedy. I'm helping people out and they're laughing. And that's the most fulfilling thing to me when I see the comments. And I share all the stupid comments in Instagram stories, but that's 5% of it. 95% are really positive things. So it's awesome.
This is what I said when they call them. This is what I appreciate, I admire, and a small part of me envies this quiet disposition that has carried you to a pretty remarkable place of contentment where you're at in life.
Yeah, thanks.
To say at 40 years old that you're content and what you've done, comedically speaking, with your time in Los Angeles and where you are now, and to sit here and to say with confidence, I am amazingly pleased with where I started it and where I am. So again, I'll ask where is it that you want to potentially go next? Or are you the type of person who just kind of lives in the moment and adjusts?
No, I would say I'm still extremely strategic. I mean, even the move to LA was, hey, you're going to do that when you have the ability to do that financially. I had headlined the Funny Bone, recorded the album. It was like, hey, this is the peak of Columbus. Time to go, So those things were planned out, and I'm still that way. Here's the biggest thing for me is I don't feel bound by what the industry tells me to do.
Interesting.
And that gives me the happiness and love for it. The industry would be telling me, do more of this, worry about your follower numbers. That's
Right.
what you need to headline
Right,
this
right, right.
club.
Yeah.
All this stuff.
Which is completely different from where you started.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not why I got into stand-up to begin with. So I'm keeping why I got into comedy. I'm lucky enough to do this because I have another job,
Mm-hmm.
But that's what people don't realize. That allows you to do the thing that you love the way that you want.
The fact that you have
Stable income somewhere
stable
else.
income, so forth. And
Where
so
I'm
on.
appreciated in that field, too.
Right. How long
Lucky
have you
enough
been
to
doing
say
if you
that.
don't mind me asking?
That's been a little over 10 years
10
now.
years.
I've been at that company since out of college, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
I started September of 06 doing stand-up. I started that company November of 06.
Okay.
So that's what I say when the trajectory.
So they've
of
been
two
That
different
math doesn't
careers.
add up there, by the way. 10 years, 06.
Oh, no. In the field I'm in of compliance.
I'm fucking with
Just
you.
making sure.
I'm just fucking
Don't mess
you.
with an Indian in math.
Let me ask you a personal question, since we were talking about relationships earlier. Where do your parents stand on all that? What do your parents hope for you? I mean, are they
The hope's gone, dude.
have they given up? Have they given up the hope, or are they have to be pleased that you're
Yes.
successful and self-sustaining?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. But any loving parents, and I'm going to make that assumption that they are your loving parents,
Yeah.
would want you to, as you said, your goal was to settle down when you went back to Colorado and make a go of it. What are your parents thinking right now? Are they concerned about you or not at 40?
No. I think they're good with everything. Again, they understand, at least at this point, they did not get a conventional Indian son, and
Did they think they were raising a conventional Indian son?
I don't know. They certainly didn't force things to a level that, wouldn't lead to, what I'm saying? Like, it wasn't so strict that, okay, I'm going to follow this and do this, and I'll, marry another Indian or Hindu or whatever.
Well, no, but
variety of different strictness.
Greeks are guilty of that,
Yeah.
trying to,
Right.
force and put families together because they think that's the way it should be and it's the right thing to do. They're way guilty of matchmaking, if you will. Has your family ever tried to suggest or gently force you to meet somebody and at least just try, just meet her,
Yeah.
just dinner?
Luckily, no, or unluckily, maybe at this point. I don't know. It depends. But no, and that's where I'll say to them, they provided that freedom. Nevertheless, I'm self-aware the choices I made were, but they were good for me, right? No one perceives their child will do stand-up comedy.
No.
So, let alone in growing up and thinking you're going to be a doctor or, and then I did English literature in college. So my
So did
father, yeah,
Well,
great.
really?
Yeah, I enjoyed seeing Slaughterhouse-Five over there. So yeah,
Which probably helped your guys' writing of comedy. I believe you guys are writers.
yeah.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Probably, yeah. That was my minor.
But-
that was my major.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
It was
sorry.
my major,
It was my
and my
major.
minor was film
Criminology?
studies.
My major was criminology.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
But
Fair.
again, my father's perception still was that I was going to go to law school, and you follow a certain path.
What does your father do?
He is a retired chemical engineer. My mother was a chemist. Yeah.
That's some
That's
high
impressive.
stuff right there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know what. Oh, to get to your original questions, they're very proud of me. I think my father is most amazed at that I sometimes, doing corporate events, and I tell him how much I'm making on it, and he goes, "Wow," you know what I mean? And then he's just like, "Stop doing those coffee shows. Keep doing the corporate events." It's like, it's good you're out of that.
Have
or
they
whatever.
seen you? Have they seen you perform?
They have. So they
And?
were there at the album recording at the Funny Bone.
And you did another album recording at Mad Lab.
At Mad Lab, yeah.
Wh-
So they were not there for that.
That one.
But yeah, they were there at the Funny Bone. So they've seen me a few times,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, so it's great. And I mean that was a special moment for me on multiple levels, because when I can have my name on that marquee,
Sure.
and my parents are there, I mean that meant the world to me.
And to see that, and for your parents to see an audience
Yeah.
be appreciative of what you're saying on stage. That's got to be a proud moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. My mother came to some shows at comedy clubs, but recording an album. I never recorded an album, but
It's not too late.
yes, it is. It's way too late. It's way too late. I much like our guest this evening. I have moved on to other things. You know,
Vinyl is bigger than ever, Dino. Let's go. You
dude.
keep saying
vinyl
the word album.
You know,
Let's go.
it's like stand up is always going to be a part of me. But he's right. From where we started and where I started, you know, back in '89, for Christ's sake, and to where it is now, it's almost like I look at it from a distance and say, like, yeah, I could still get up there, but there's a part of me that lately in the last couple of years, it just isn't not feeling it. Not feeling it. Like I don't know what I'll have to say anymore. I don't. This latest wave of, and it's not everybody, but you know, in the last 6 months to a year, working the crowd, which I can work a crowd if I have to. I've always done it. I was always good in the moment, but I never wanted a whole act to be based on working the crowd.
Right.
You know, I understand the beauty of the spontaneity. I understand being smart and witty in the moment, but you know,
Is that what you have to do nowadays?
no.
Or
But there's a
when you're
lot of
hosting?
it. There's a lot of there's a lot of it going on right now. That's and it's a phase.
Yeah, it's trends.
It's a trend.
Everybody wants to be the guy with the video camera on his phone.
And you know, and that is part of it. Social media is part of it because you're capturing these spontaneous moments, and people are, you know, are in the moment. I get it, but I don't feel need to be a part of it right
Well,
now.
you have to look at it from what the business has become now too. So Jason was on here, right? Jason Banks.
Mm-hmm.
Couple times.
So I was really happy for him because he's the example of what can happen. And what I'd say now is you're more inclined to have whiskey business become successful. You get a bunch of whiskey lovers that come out to your show, and then they see, oh, Dino Tripodis has chops at stand-up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's what you build on the internet to get people to come.
That's
Not the old Brian Regan model of like, this dude's just really funny and coming out every year to the club or
Right,
whatever,
right.
So no one actually cares about the full set, which matters. We're in a weird, like every show is like a Comic-Con now. When you
It's a
have
community
TikTok,
building.
when you have TikTokers,
I don't know if I like that.
yeah,
It's community building. That's what a lot of the marketing now is. It's like build your community, build your Discord, build your Patreon community, and go from there.
yeah. But I was happy for Jason because he had those chops.
He did have those
He-
chops.
He was ready to headline it
Yeah.
all the time, and he popped. So then when that TikTok audience came, they got a really good show.
They really got a good show, but he also expressed the frustration
Sure. I can imagine.
of what became the TikTok phenomenon with his characters and those videos that people didn't see a whole, you know, some people, Jason Banks is going to deliver like nobody's business, but he experienced the frustration of like, you know, that's not all that I am.
Yeah.
You know, at that moment, just like you're not the license plate guy or the door jam guy,
Right.
You know, but that's, you know, but that's, is he going to do 45 minutes about door jamming? No, he's not.
that-
The band who has to play the same damn song over and
But
over and
that's
over
what's
again.
weird is if I headline clubs now, I'm probably going to be door jam guy.
Right,
I'm not going to be Sumukh Torgalkar because they're all remembering me as door jam guy.
right.
And then you change your name to door jam guy. I'm like, I don't want to do that. But we're in a very weird stage
Well,
of that,
I will say that
of
there's
recognition and branding and
There
however
was
it
a
works.
gentleman I worked with many, many, many years ago in Florida who was the opening act, and his name was Dan Whitney, and he had 5 minutes in his act where he did a character called Larry the Cable Guy.
Yeah.
And yeah, and he very quickly became Larry the Cable Guy.
Yep.
Sure.
You know your redneck if. Yeah,
Jeff Foxworthy. I mean,
Right.
there's something to be said for riding that horse till she bucks you. As far as success goes, if you can actually, and
But I
you
think
strike me as somebody that would have a plan. That would have a plan to be. I'll be door jam guy if I have to be. But my next thing is already in the works.
And I think, but that's where my plan's at. And this is just me. My standard is I don't want to be door jam guy.
No.
Like that success is not worth it for me, whatever that would entail. So I'm still trying to be me. And that's what makes me content. And
Amen.
Yeah.
and I've managed to be me, and I make income at comedy
right.
from the YouTube, from SiriusXM playing the albums. Like, it's
How-
pretty amazing.
It
like,
is.
That's when I look back at doing the first open mic at Scarlet and Gray Cafe.
Which was when? How long ago?
It's
let's
18 years.
18 years.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
So when you take it and you look back at that perspective, of course, yeah, we all wish we could be Kevin Hart, but that happens to such a small amount.
Small,
in
very
this. And that's
small.
why going to LA is great too, because you see how much talent there is there.
There is.
And not everyone's going to get everything. So it gives you
Probably.
perspective too. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Chip?
I forgot.
You got caught up in the
I
quiet,
did, yes.
the quiet philosopher who has this
Yeah.
great. Like I said, it's something that I respect and admire and a little bit envious of. At 40,
This is the guy I was trying to.
Stephen
talk.
Wright.
That was the
Stephen
guy I was
Wright.
trying to talk
He
about
just
earlier.
died.
He did die?
Yeah.
I thought he
Right.
just passed away recently.
no,
I don't
I
think
didn't
so.
think he
Right.
died.
Richard Lewis passed
That
away.
was a
recently.
question. Richard Lewis died. Yeah.
Stephen Wright didn't pass away.
Well,
Yeah.
then that's why you guys didn't know who I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Steve Royce.
God, I hope nothing happens to him now.
Right?
After we put
Yes.
But you know what? The dry.
One line.
Every word matters.
Yeah.
You're not
Yeah,
just
yeah,
hum
yeah,
hawing
yeah,
through blah
yeah.
blah blah.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 It's so funny. I was thinking just today. I was driving it. I was thinking about tonight what we were going to talk about and everything, and it occurred to me that when you, Dino, and you, Sukari, when you were on,
Sukari,
when you're on,
Sukari.
I'm sorry.
He,
What,
he merged part of my first name,
Okay.
part of my
Even
last
I
name.
have never butchered it that badly.
I had a pretty good drink here.
That's all
But
right.
when you guys are on stage and you say the joke, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have such a skill that you've developed because you've gone in and you've worked really hard and really put it through the grindhouse to make it sound like you just came up with it at that moment. Like you've perfected the joke so much to a point where it comes out naturally when you've worked so hard to get it to that point.
The beats
to
and the
make it
phrasing.
that
And,
way.
yeah, to make it sound like you you
fresh.
just came up with it. No, I don't know if I agree with that. But as far as the beats and the rhythms and the
Specific verbs.
adding a word or subtracting a word to
Right.
Yeah, that's it's something I've said on this podcast before. Jerry Seinfeld, when I opened up for him at the Funny Bone back when it was at the Continent, I did a bit and it killed. And he goes, I really like your motorcycle bit. And I go, yeah, I did it last night before you got here, and it didn't work. And he goes, you changed something. You changed something. You changed the beat, a rhythm, a word, or something or another. And sure enough, I listened to because I was recording myself back then, and I listened to it, and yeah, there's something to the mechanics of it, if you will, as far as structuring a joke or a story.
And that's where the brains come in.
Yeah.
I think.
Mm.
I think you guys are smart.
Thank
Yeah.
Well,
And is that
compared
how
to
it
me,
worked?
you guys
is
at least
that how
know
it
math.
came out for
And
you?
you- and you
Is that how
know
it comes out
words.
for you?
What we're talking about then, yeah, is writing and joke structure and that mattering.
Yeah.
And to what you're talking about, like crowd work, like we can do that.
sure.
But it's this notion that comedians can just do these things on the fly that makes people very excited.
funny.
And yes, we can do
Tell
it.
me a joke.
But from our vantage point,
right.
the writing, the structure, all those things is part of the poetry of it.
Exactly. And poetry is an excellent choice of words to describe it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like musician, writing a song versus jamming on a solo for 25 minutes. Absolutely. Yeah.
I think for me, if you're calling me the quiet man, the problem is my approach.
I mean that with respect.
No,
you know
I
that.
do. Yes,
You
and
know
I
that.
appreciate
You know,
it.
that's a
This is my favorite
compliment.
But my approach was like, look, I understand I'm in a comedy club environment with drunks and whatnot, but I'm trying to get you to realize you're kind of watching a play here in my world of it, not a party. I'm not Bert Kreischer. You know what I mean? Like, so that's the difference too. We all are in this same world of a comedy club, but there's a variety of variants that come with it.
Do you only take gigs where the audience would appreciate that? Or
No,
Not at all.
God, not at all. No,
That wasn't even possible.
That was
starting
no.
here.
Sure.
You're the gladiator going into the
So you gotta
into
pull
the
'em
lion's
into it.
den.
No, and I think that's what's different now. That maybe that's what I never liked, and is just maybe me being an oldie or whatever at this point. But there's no choosiness in this. You have to learn. I did biker bars. I did every venue possible because you have to learn how to handle any audience with who you are as a comedian and as a performer.
And that's one of the things I do respect and admire from the Quiet Man is that through those 18 years, you've held your ground. I mean, you said you went from one-liners to more storytelling, but that's just education, and that's just confidence, and that's just maturation of your skill set as you move further.
Yes.
But as far as how you delivered those one-liners and how you deliver those stories, it's still essentially the same.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I love when you guys talk writing comedy. It's fun. It's fun.
I still write it. I
No, I
still
know,
write it.
I
I
know.
still
I
jot
like
it
it. I
down.
love it.
And I still have a desire to perform it on some level, but I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because, and John Whitney will attest this. Maybe because I've shifted over into the screenwriting and I'm back here working on a novel that I started 20 years
Sure.
ago, and I'm rewriting that.
Yeah.
And,
Well, like Sue
and there's
said,
a legal pad right there as we speak,
Yeah.
where I'm adapting a book
you-
into a
you
screenplay.
conquered that. You
Yeah.
did there. You've been there. Of course you could. Always do more. But I did that. All right. Now what?
Yes.
I'm gonna move on. You did it.
Yeah,
I feel that way about radio.
yeah, did radio.
I did it. I'm cool.
And that's
I never
funny
work
too,
in
because
that industry
radio,
again, ever
after
again.
27 years of radio, it becomes further and further in my rearview mirror.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like
I'm not looking for a radio job.
Someone says you want to go back in the radio,
Unless you're hiring.
unless someone begs me. Seriously, unless someone begs me to go back, I
Take
it's
Greg with you.
and you're 40, I'm 65, and there's still
young 65.
a young 65 for sure. I put that on Instagram just the other day. Someone said, because someone asked me, she goes, "When did you start feeling old?" I go, "First of all, I don't feel old." I said, "But if you ask me when did I start to realize that I was getting older," and I put this on not Instagram, I put it on LinkedIn. I said it's when I started going to the doctor, and the doctor was no longer older than I was. That's when I started to feel old. And do I pine for a 75 or 80-year-old doctor who hasn't cracked a fucking medical journal in 20 years? Yeah, kinda, because I want his old school wisdom.
Yeah.
Instead, the last doctor I went to called me dude. He did. Seriously, he called me dude. I went to the knee doctor.
And hugged
And
you.
then I said, "So,
Dude, bend over.
like, do I need surgery?" He goes, "Dude, you're 65. No, you don't need surgery, but you need to."
Yada yada yada.
And he looked like he was maybe 30
Yeah.
at best. But he was a good doctor, and he I liked what he had to say. I didn't need knee surgery, so.
He said no.
Well,
And he's more likely to prescribe you weed, cannabis.
So do your guests ask you questions?
Sure,
Yeah,
absolutely,
love it.
anytime.
So I could flip it on
Yeah,
you.
Absolutely.
There's
There's no
So this is heavy now.
go.
Are you content?
Am I content?
Yeah.
Depending on your definition of content.
Okay.
Am I content with life as I know it? Yeah, it's been a pretty full life, and when I look back at it all, I've crammed a lot of different things into it.
Yeah.
I mean, starting from my late 20s into where I am right now. So, am I content? Yes. Am I fulfilled? No. I mean, it's your definition of contentment. Am I ready to? I know guys that are 65, have worked a job for 30 years, retired, and they're done.
Yeah.
I'm not done. I mean, I'm not done. There's still chapters. So I'm not content with what I still feel I need to accomplish. Is that an answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's good in the sense that I probably will continue to operate. If I said to you now I'm fulfilled at 40,
Yeah.
what do I got going the next
Right.
40 years? You know what I mean? No, so it's more about me asking that because now I will shower you with envy. I envy what your skill set was on the radio when I first met you. Of course, when I first met you, I'm like, I know who he is. And here's what was funny. I'll remember that moment because, of course, I'm shy. I'm like, Mimi or whoever it was, Mimi or CR's got to tell him I'm on the show. The manager of the Funny Bone. Then you came over and you said, oh, you're a comic on the show. And I said, yeah, and introduced myself. And you were like, and you're a comic because you're just sitting in the corner by yourself.
Were you allowed to smoke back then?
No. Yeah, I can't remember.
But yeah, so I think one of the things in knowing comedians so well and being friends with them and connecting with them is they don't think enough about how content they should be with what they've accomplished because they should be proud of it.
I'm proud of what I've done, but I guess what I'm saying is, am I content? I want to work till I die.
Yeah.
I want to constantly be creating until my last freaking breath. Then will I die content? Yeah, I will. That's the case. There's still, the mind is sharp. I don't know what you're supposed to feel like at 65, emotionally or mentally, but physically, yeah, I got a bad knee. I'm bone on bone on my right knee. I'm riddled with freaking arthritis, but that's, my brain isn't riddled with arthritis, and my brain isn't vein on vein, and it's still thinking. I don't know.
Your 30-year-old doctor told him it was.
Trying to compare the two. Trying to make comparisons. But
Dude, it's brain on brain.
but you get what I'm saying. I still want to create, and I still want to get in front of people.
Yeah.
But right now I'm struggling with, how do I want to do that? Do I want to do it? Do I want to get up on stage and tell jokes again? Or do I want to get up on stage and do something in a theater where I can tell stories and they can be long and be interspersed with humor, but also some...
That's why you love the podcast medium, because you can
significance.
talk.
Yeah.
But, you talk about how when we first met, I've been an admirer and full of respect for what you've done from where you are and where you are now. And like I said, when I pop up on Instagram, which I try to do at least once a day, and I see I see one of his videos, it's just like I smile. I smile like it's like I smile, and I know Bill Arundel smiles because I see that he's already checked off on it before I have. And he's supposed to be on this podcast too.
I told him again.
He's supposed to be on this podcast, and we talk about it, and then things happen and it goes away. So, damn it.
Does he live in Columbus?
Yes,
He will definitely be on. I told him even you should be the back-to-back. My
Boom, boom.
episode comes, then go into Dino's.
I
set it up,
want to
and
pick
we'll
his
be
brain so
after
bad,
me.
and I know he's going to listen to this podcast. So, I want to pick his brain, his life, because that guy has been that. First of all, he much like you, he's got a really brilliant comedy mind, and I watch his videos as well in the car.
Yeah.
The car videos, they're great. They're great, and
I joke around with him.
How does he
because-
not get fired?
Oh, I don't know. It speaks to like how disconnected the company is with reality.
Okay.
That they don't even know he's doing this. They
doing
don't
it.
seem to care.
Because
But yeah, one of his most popular videos was about potlucks. So now
Oh,
I
yeah.
just call him Potluck Guy, and I'm like, yeah, you'll be headlining clubs as Potluck Guy.
It's
'cause
Potluck
of the
Guy.
Same thing, same things we talked about. But no, I want him to do more like that because I'm like, it brings that creativity out, and you're so good at it. And it is a realm where we can all relate to that, of this silliness in working at a place and, yeah, potlucks. And, I mean, he's turned that potluck bit into something on stage, too.
yeah, he did.
Some
It was
do
one,
it,
one
so
of his
yeah.
best jokes.
Yeah,
that's
so-
one of his best jokes. I mean, he's so funny, but he's also very interesting, and obviously, I like to dig a little deeper. I could have sat here and talked to you about, I asked you how you started in stand up and why and so forth and so on, but I like to find out more about the person. And Bill Arundel, his struggles and his successes with some of those struggles,
Yeah.
and is what fascinates me, because I think that everybody's got a story of some sort. So as we continue and get close to wrapping up here, you just mentioned just a few moments ago, if I were to say I was content with life and 40 and done, where do you want the next 20 years to go? Where do you want the next 10 years to go? I mean, because 40 is I told him, good luck. 40 was a very confusing decade. It's right smack dab in the middle of everything that you've learned and everything that you still don't know, assuming that you live a healthy life and live to be 80
Yeah.
or 90 years old, half of it's over. So as you look forward, quiet man, wise man, philosopher, comedian, where do you see the next decades going?
Well, from a purely creative standpoint, I think continuing to do what I'm doing until whatever the next thing is, right? Like, I don't know, YouTube seems pretty good. Google owns it, but who knows, right? Things in this era can change, then all of a sudden your videos are gone or whatever when it comes to that income stream or that path. But I just want to keep doing that. It's very fulfilling in that realm of comedy. Keep doing stand-up where I can, but it's not what it once was. But of course,
Exactly.
I'd love to I'm still writing stand-up, but it's just, you got to get out there and actually do it and practice it.
that's
and
where
own
I have
the craft.
failed.
To get to that next album or that special or
That
whatever.
muscle
Yeah.
has for me has atrophied a little bit,
Yeah.
and I need to work it out a little bit more.
So, but I'd like to just do more writing again. I I had this Tumblr for years. I'd write on there about comedy related
You
things.
still have Tumblr?
No. Valid question. So then I set up a Substack. But yeah, I was wishing I wrote more in it, but that priority just wasn't there this year with everything else. So I think in that next decade of really just trying to write more, and yeah, a book, even if it's a self-published book, so many people have done it. Just to do it and get that creativity out there.
Self-publishing
Because,
is not the 25, 30 years ago it was like, oh, you can't get published, so you self-publishing now is
They print on demand.
and there are publishing houses that have self-publishing sites.
Right.
That the Simon and Schuster has a self-publishing site, and they actually Simon and Schuster looks over and see what's going on in self-publishing, and maybe picks it up. So self-publishing is smart.
Yeah. So coming from that background, English literature, and always being a writer, that's still a goal that kind of got pushed to the side. Like writing prose is pushed to the side by writing and focusing so much on stand-up.
Right, it's different.
Two very different things.
And yet
so
both-
getting that muscle back of prose or writing some things again that I want to do that is just not necessarily comedy. you know. So that would be the next decade also.
It's cool.
And yeah, I'm open to whatever the possibilities might be with it, because if I look back at these 18 years, everything creative-wise really drastically changed, you know?
But
yes,
you adjusted.
the internet. Yeah.
But you adjusted.
Yes.
And you adapted.
Yes. And I didn't poo-poo or go, ugh.
Yeah, right.
I
No.
could easily right now go, these kids. But I go, no, you're better suited to start a podcast than be hitting the open mics. So I don't fault you for that.
Mhm.
Like whatever they're doing. You're figuring yourself out on the internet more than I got to at open mics, thank God. And no one was videotaping them.
Right.
It's a totally different world now that I feel for them in a certain way because...
So that's career-wise. Life-wise, do you
Yeah, we never found the old girl. Oh, he's not talking to old girl anymore.
He's not talking to a girl,
Is there
but
someone else in your life?
well, I'm asking if is there hopes for a new girl? Is there? Do you want? Is that an important part of your plan?
Sure. I
No, I mean that's a
Why not?
legitimate. That's a
Yeah.
legitimate question. You know, at 40, he might be of a mindset right now where he says, you know what? I realized I don't need that in my life. And if that was an honest answer, that's an honest. But if he says yes, then by all means continue. Yes. Do you if you're still looking for that? That's legit.
I would like companionship, but at the same time, I've been through a lot from that previous relationship. It's still fresh, so I'm approaching dating again a lot relaxed, and we'll see what happens. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on myself to be back in a relationship really
Good.
quickly.
Somehow it looks that's believable for some reason. I don't know why. You're just so calm and quiet, man. That's the only way you could approach it, if you ask me.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I guess. So
Do you get lonely?
it's an interesting question because I live in the mountain.
I know you do.
Oh man, that's awesome.
No, he
By
does. He lives in the freaking mountains.
Myself with my dog and my cat, and so it can.
You had snow in your videos before anybody. Well, we were still in 80-degree weather.
Yeah. So it's an interesting thing when you can't do that without having a personality that matches that. So, but it didn't I need to be social. Otherwise, I'll become reclusive. I know that in myself, which that's not good for me. So yeah, I'm being more social. I'm dating again. But I think that's the biggest thing. The future would be if I do meet someone, I'm not going to ask her to move to this home that I lived with my ex in or come live in the mountains or whatever, that I don't see that happening. So I think a big life change would happen with meeting someone again and then talking through it if it's really worthwhile and then seeing where that goes from there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's on my mind. Yeah, I just don't. It's nice to have someone. I miss that. Even it ended horribly, but this was still somebody I still laughed with. You
had moments with.
Right. It's
Massaged with.
yeah. It's
after a marathon.
It's all the life stuff where there was a real disconnect and real hurt, but it doesn't mean I don't miss, I'd go out onto the deck and I'm like, be nice to be talking to someone.
Right.
So that's the thing of even that lifestyle. So yeah, it very easily can become your, a lonely recluse, which I don't want to be.
You don't
Because
want
that's
to.
a
You
total
don't want to be up
lifestyle.
in your house in the mountains writing a manifesto.
Yeah, exactly. there's
I know how that is.
yeah.
Though, given your background, it would be a magnificently
Beautiful.
written manifesto.
Thank you.
So
Very
I'm sure it'd
detailed.
be full of prose and galore.
Well, you work from home, so you must get some of that companionship, justified by, talking to people at work.
Yeah,
you know?
Teams must be awesome.
Oh,
for you.
yeah.
Getting on teams
Well,
and such.
Especially when I lived in LA, we got a studio apartment where my office, my bedroom, my kitchen are all
One
the same
room.
place. So you can imagine Like once the day was done, I'm like, I'm going for a run, or I
Sure.
just got to get out. And yeah, there were days I'm like, I'm not talking. I live in LA and I'm not talking to anybody until maybe that night at comedy or whatever. And that's not healthy. Sometimes I just run to the grocery store to pick up something, so I'm at least talking to the cashier, or something. So, yeah, there are those components to it where, to me, it's still important to be social, even though I'm naturally introverted or shy guy, quiet man.
Yeah, me
Quiet
too.
man still needs connection.
Quiet
It's
man.
only-
That's,
it's
it was only
healthy.
I never shared that. It's always what I always said to myself. He's the quiet man, but effectively so, because sometimes you can raise more awareness with quiet than you can with volume, if you will.
Well, thank you. I truly am touched by the nickname. I don't mean it. It's very nice.
No, I meant it
appreciate
as a complete compliment. And also the fact that at 40, are you still running as well as you ran at 30?
No,
No.
but I'm glad to be doing it.
Yeah.
Like I did the Richmond Marathon.
I
with
saw that video.
comedian friends.
Yeah.
So they're all across the country. So it's a nice thing where we can meet up once a year and do it. But yeah, it's just not at the same level. But at least I can still do it.
Still do it.
Yeah. So
Can either of you run a marathon?
No, not yet.
We did a turkey
That's my
trot.
New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
We did a turkey trot, and
Did you throw up?
I jogged like maybe 100 meters of it, and I said, "We're gonna walk this, aren't we?" So
I
yeah,
swear
no.
to God. I thought turkeys could fly.
to be careful.
Are you gonna write a book?
yeah, if we were talking about what
Yeah,
those
what
10 years were,
Yeah.
that would be, finding the time
He'll do it.
and the focus to do that.
We'll do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're both gonna do. We're
Thanks.
both gonna do more things in the next 10 years. There you go. He may have a
Give or
clear.
take.
He may, yeah. God willing.
Yeah,
I have to knock wood and say God willing. 'cause
I'll take the under.
I'm 60.
Well,
If you take the under, you know how many people have lost on the under
Yeah.
over the last 10 years? He'll be dead by 60. He'll be dead by 55. I guarantee it. Sorry. No.
Well, I'll say two things. One, I'll take the over because of that reason. For as long as I've known Dino, the problem is
What?
we'd always meet at the holiday benefit show,
Right. Oh,
which
my
is
God.
the worst example of Dino. So I'm like,
Oh yeah.
is
It's
are
like
you
the-
okay? Like then the next time I see you, like, are you okay? Like I'd always be like, how's your health? Like every time that I see
You've always asked me about my health. You have, and the holiday show was like it's nothing I'm proud of. At the same time, it's whatever occurred on that night is drinking legend, if you will. I mean,
Oh, we know. There's plenty of pantless photographs of Dino from that evening.
15 shots of whiskey over the course of a night is just
For a good
stupid.
cause.
For a good cause. For a good cause. Actually, my health is good. I mentioned the things that are wrong with me,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much it. The drinking, we do it on the podcast, but if I were to do the Christmas show right now this year, could I do the 15 shots? Probably, but I don't think I would survive it nearly as well as I did back then. Yeah, that's just being honest, and I have no desire to do that. I guess that's the important thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah. You don't drink.
I don't drink.
Have
I
you ever-
yeah, I
have you-
stopped. Actually, very soon after that album recording at the Funny Bone. So it's been almost 10 years now. I stopped.
For a reason? Did you
Yeah, it just wasn't
enjoying it?
right. I have depression, and I'm a comedian. So
There you go.
Kind of go
it
hand in hand.
wasn't. That was how I coped without actually addressing the depression in a healthy way. So I just stopped.
I never.
Was it
and
hard out there in LA then, trying to be like, no.
Luckily, no, it was easier there than it would have been here, and that's because
Ohio's-
the culture of where in Columbus and in comedy, we're just in bars and drinking, and I was just back here because Sean Somerville's memorial show.
I did
was
not
there.
know Sean Somerville very well, so
Yeah,
I
but
missed that era
He
of stand up. But he was an amazing guy, from what I understand.
Yeah, great guy, but he passed. And again, drinking related,
was
So that's the thing. I saw, like, hey, at that time 30, and I go, there's a lot you want more to accomplish. Stop now. You've done nothing bad, just stop now and see how it feels and go from there. And then I started doing, the things to address depression appropriately.
Yeah.
And-
It's no secret. I've addressed it on this podcast. I've also been a lifelong sufferer of depression, but it never pointed to alcohol. Alcohol never, like, I would get depressed, I wouldn't drink.
Yeah.
It was weird. Those two never came together. So this was not responsible for that, and that didn't result in this.
Yeah.
So it was other things. But yeah, depression is
Yeah, I mean, it just wasn't healthy for that
for that.
component of my mind.
Everybody's
And
different.
It was escapism, right? Now, in your 20s, you're just doing it, right? So
Right.
you don't detect it. But then by 30, I'm just like, look, I can see where the trajectory of this is going, and I don't like it. And I hate to say, there was enough proof from other comedians.
Right.
Where I go, no, you want something more out of this. Don't go down that path.
That's
So
why I
stop
never
now.
did. Everybody thinks I'm a bold-faced liar when I said I've never done cocaine. But
Yeah.
when I was doing stand-up and on the road in the early
You'd see
'90s,
that-
Sure.
right, and I would see the success stories of the guys that were doing blow. I'm like, no,
Yeah.
I want no part of it.
Yeah.
And consequently, I never done cocaine. In college, I did acid. In college, I did mushrooms and hash and pot, but I never.
You hippie.
No, I never did the blow. And even in college, the guy I worked for, part-time job, he was
SH my nose.
he would come out of the back room with wiping his nose and he lost his business. I'm like, I've seen too many examples, too many not success stories.
Right.
As a
Well,
result. So,
Dino,
it's
Just Sweats went under though for other reasons other than just that.
well,
when you worked there.
that's a whole another story. Stop. But yeah, and now in 2025, talk about using your skill sets for other things. I'm actually working with the Ohio Suicide Prevention Foundation and a site called mantherapy.org, which
oh, yeah.
is
I'm familiar.
Yeah.
I did a show out in rural Colorado.
it started out there.
Yes. And that was part. It was for mental health. So we had posters from Man Therapy out
and
there. Because that was rural. I mean, it's all farmers who
right. So, well, farmers
Don't
is like the number one or
deal
number
with
two.
Sure.
People
Suffer.
who met. Well, we were focusing on men and man therapy, but Ohio adopted it in February of this year, and we have started the groundwork for me to be an ambassador for mantherapy.org moving forward in 2025. So I'll be doing speaking engagements, making videos, pointing people to the website.
Yeah.
But Man Therapy, it's all over the country, and it's huge down in Australia.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, it started in Colorado.
Yeah.
It actually started there, so you're familiar with it. Yeah. So now I'm going to use these skills
Yeah.
towards something that might be beneficial to a lot of men.
I think that's going to pay off more than you think.
I,
It's gonna be fun.
I hope so. I mean, it's a job, but it's also something that I believe in and hope that we always say if you save one, on any given day, and we're losing more in Ohio. I mean, we're focusing on Ohio, obviously, because I'm here, but we're going to lose more this year than we did last year. Men to suicide. So, and because of depression. So anything that we can do as comedians and as creatives to help men get the stick out of their ass and get the help that they need, yay. Yeah. So very interesting. I did not know that you were a fellow
Yes.
Ooh, you guys
member.
Need a name. You need a name.
Huh?
You guys need
Man
like
therapy.
a name,
No.
Mayonnaise.
It's good.
Alumni.
Yeah.
It's always good. It's always good to say it out loud that I suffer from. It's not.
Sure.
It's not a thing. It's
And you're
not.
right. drinking
nothing,
makes it.
it's not
worse.
a thing to be ashamed
Right.
of.
And again, I've written about it that I stopped drinking, but it's also like, look, this isn't my identity
No.
now. But it's something where I wrote it, I put it out there because when I stopped, especially in comedy, it was only people who were like total alcoholics that stopped that were now sober, right? There was never somebody. Now there's changed over the past 10 years,
Right,
right?
right.
Yeah,
There's
you're
been a
right.
sober movement. Of
When you
sorts.
turn sober, they go,
Or-
"Oh, you must have hit rock bottom, right?"
Yes,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
And
yeah.
that
No,
wasn't-
no, 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 no.
2015,
You just
there were no
Yeah.
examples
Yeah.
like that of
Yeah.
like, no, you can just stop
You could just stop.
because you're just already seeing the signs this isn't
That's
healthy.
interesting.
Yeah.
that's very good.
I was gonna ask you if you'd ever tried non-alcoholic whiskey because it
Oh,
exists
I have.
on the market.
It
Is it
sucks.
terrible?
It sucks.
It's
Yeah,
it's not.
good.
Yeah,
It's not.
I
not
imagine.
good.
Might as well just
Yeah.
Not drink.
I mean, I
figured.
love whiskey. I love different kinds of whiskeys. I appreciate everything that we talked about. You know what the mash bill is and so forth and so on. And yeah, that's where it's at. You know, if there ever comes a time on a regular basis where I need a whiskey, then I'm going to be concerned. But the
Yeah.
fact that I want to try that whiskey and taste it and see what it's about.
That's the problem too. We've talked about. It's like there's this craft and art behind it, you know, and
Yeah. Think about, there'd be all the great writers were alcoholics. No, not all of them.
Yeah, no.
Not all of them. You know.
Well, plus your bar is still full. If you were truly had a problem, this
Right,
place would be
right,
emptied
right,
out.
Right.
It's not like it
In my
used
house,
to
we
be.
can't keep a wine rack for anything. My wife loves the taste of the wine.
There's still there's bourbons here, but it's severely depleted since the pandemic. The pandemic was definitely. I think that's where I actually started this, like, take inventory, self inventory, and say, whoa, because everybody was drinking more during the pandemic.
Right.
Statistics show that, and I pulled back after a while and said, that's enough. I don't need to be doing this every day. Because for the first couple months it was every day. No. Stop. Hello, Kitty.
Oh, the kitty's here.
Yeah, Kitty finally showed up. I have a cat now, too.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. My daughter made me take it.
Okay.
Seriously, she did. She did. But, yeah. Because I'm allergic.
Okay.
Nice.
But dealing with it. Anyway. This has been very cool.
What you can also walk away with tonight is you have a clip that can be played when you die. Because you talked about everything you want to do
Yeah.
before you die.
Yeah. I have a clip.
On the clip show, we'll play that.
No, I
I'll
think
get that wah, wah ready.
I
Get
think
that ready.
my takeaway is in the first 5 minutes when you had no fucking idea what I was talking about when I said you celebrate with banana and mango trees.
Oh, sure.
I'm gonna
When I
edit it up. It's gonna be nice.
when I completely blew it.
No,
as far
I'm going to look this up because I'm intrigued now.
just
Which is all the goal is out of
just
out of
go ahead.
everything.
So, Google how do they celebrate Christmas in India
Okay.
and see what it says. Fuck, let's do it now.
Even I mean that's the thing. Even in
I mean,
Ohio, like that's the thing that I've been reading a lot about the Krampus, right? You know,
Yeah.
but like in Ohio, in Columbus, and Cleveland, every little community has their own little
thing,
twist.
Hey
And you can
Siri,
imagine
how do they
worldwide.
celebrate Christmas in India?
They don't.
Christmas is celebrated in India with special church prayer services,
That's good.
festive meals,
Oh, that's good.
get-togethers,
Nice.
gift exchanges,
Okay.
and other events. Wait for it,
I
and you
could've
can
said
look at it.
that.
A decorated banana or mango tree is used in place
God.
of a typical Christmas tree.
Wow.
Oh my word.
Learn about nature.com.
Look
Okay.
at
Learnaboutnature.com. That's where Siri sent me.
that.
Which is funny because I don't know what it is as a good Christian. I should, but we have evergreen trees here because of the life that Christ blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? We all have our reasons why we have evergreen trees.
Now, I don't know why the banana and mango tree stuck on my head. I heard it
It's funny.
1,000 years ago, but
There you go.
So now I
I
feel just
wasn't countering anything. I was just amazed. That's where we went to.
right in the first 5 minutes. In all sincerity,
Thanks for
thank
sticking
you,
around.
thank you, thank you for blowing off the Blue Jackets game tonight and doing this. I know you had tickets for that. Thank you for asking me, because I had no idea that you would even want to do this podcast.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So thank you so much, because I've been looking forward to it. And I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have, because I think you're great, man. I think you're great. I think you're talented. I think you're smart, and I have continued to enjoy you through the years, and I will continue to enjoy you more. And I look forward to everything else you have to accomplish in the years to come, dude. I really do.
Thank you, Dino.
I'm a
appreciate
fan.
it. Okay, likewise. I'm
Okay.
a fan, so
I'm a fan.
Get
it
a
was
room.
great.
The whiskey tonight was the remnants of a thing called Second Amendment from the Constitutional
It was really good.
Distillery. It was pretty good indeed. So
good.
yeah, hopefully we can get that in Ohio, because I don't know if it's readily available as we speak, but it was pretty good. Thank you for that. Thank you to Greg Hansberry. Thank you to John Whitney. Thank you to Chip Cosell. Thank you to all of you. On the very chance that we don't do our regular Christmas show, if we don't do a podcast next week, let me just say, on behalf of Whiskey Business, thank you for another great year. On the chance that we don't, maybe we will. Maybe we'll pull it together. But if we don't, thank you so much. We look forward to doing something fun again in 2025. Maybe some different fun things. We've been talking. But thank you for all the years you spent with us. Like I said, if you're a first timer, welcome. And if you're a long timer, thank you. My name is Dino Tripodis, and until the next bottle, see ya.